No, no, please come again. Diplomacy. नहीं, डिप्लोमेसी जो है ना, डिप्लोमेसी जो है वो जो स्टेट के एलिमेंट्स का पार्ट नहीं है, या स्टेट के अंग का पार्ट नहीं है। देखिए, अभी जो हम समझने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं ना, अभी हम स्टेट के डेफिनेशन को समझने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, राइट। स्टेट को कौटिल्य ने कैसे समझा था और उसके कौन कौन से एलिमेंट्स इस कौटिल्य ने इलेबोरेट किए थे, और जिसको कौटिल्य ने इम्पॉर्टेंट समझा था, हम लोग उसको समझने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं, right? But I would answer again your question briefly. That as far as diplomacy is concerned, this is related to the conduct of policy in Kautilya's thought, right? So how the king undertakes policies in managing the overall affairs of the state, that is where the role of diplomacy or importance of diplomacy comes in. Okay, that we look at, right, when we are looking at the policies, right, when we are looking at the policies, and especially the part on interstate politics or relations, that is very popularly, or that is very very widely known as the Mandala theory or Raj Mandala theory, right? Raj Mandala theory. Okay, so we'll come to that. Okay, now coming back, right? So yeah, as far as the king is concerned, then in Kautilya's understanding, that first thing I highlighted, that he is the most important element, number one. Number two, why is the most important element? Primarily because it is due to the king's ability or inability that a state may become strong or may face a situation where its existence would be endangered, right? And finally, the character and nature of the state is reflected by looking at the nature and character of the king, right? And that is where the qualities of the king that matters the most according to Kautilya. So it is not that Kautilya understood that anyone could become a king, right? So the king is required to have some specific qualities, and that is where he would give a lot of emphasis on a noble birth. The king should have a noble birth, meaning that he should belong to a lineage which would have a reputation of maintaining higher moral standards and higher moral values, and ability to deal with the situation or the problems of the day in a very effective manner, right? So the noble birth, number one. Number two, ability to deal with or manage the problems of the day, which may depend upon, again, the lineage of the king, meaning that the ancestors or forefathers, right? So their character, their nature, and the way they would have contributed in making the state or managing the affairs of the state, that too would be important, right? Now, I understand that, and this is the question that was raised by some of the students in my previous discussions and classes, that if Kautilya is emphasizes, Kautilya would emphasize, or Kautilya is emphasizing so much upon noble birth and lineage and the past of the king, then how come Chandragupta Maurya, he was preferred by Kautilya to enthrone as a king, right? So that is something which has to be explained on the basis of the qualities which an individual may have in terms of acquiring the values which would be required for a successful statecraft. So that is the second thing that is important, right? Meaning that whereas noble birth and lineage of the king is important, but the ability to learn and train oneself is also important, and especially in matters related to statecraft. So that's what would be important for Kautilya, right? So that is where he would look at the qualities of an individual like Chandragupta, and he would understand that, as an individual, he had the qualities which can be shaped and he can be trained to become a successful king, right? So it is not only the values, or it is not only the capabilities that one has acquired at the time of birth, but the way the potentials exist, which can be shaped and given the right kind of direction, that would also matter a lot as far as Kautilya's understanding of a king is concerned, right? But let me add here that Kautilya always would give emphasis on, or would give preference to the values, or the the capabilities, right, that one may have since birth, and that is what possibly he could see in Chandragupta Maurya, and that may be the reason that why he thought that he could be a successful ruler in the future. Okay, so that's the second thing, right? That's the second thing. That is the second quality that Kautilya understands that a king should have. Third thing that Kautilya understands that the king should be well versed in the understanding of different shastras and Vedas, meaning that he should have knowledge of shastras and Vedas. Now, why that is important? That is something to be understood with respect to the fact that if you look at the constitution of society at that point of time, then the society would be regulated in the light of the teachings which existed in different shastras or in Vedas. So that is where a king's understanding of shastras and Vedas would be important. That not only would mean that a king is knowledgeable, and he can understand, king is knowledgeable and he can understand the larger philosophical values of the society, and larger understanding of politics, but at the same time, he can also manage the affairs of the state, or he can manage the affairs of the society in the light of the knowledge that he would acquire by learning the teachings from Vedas and from different shastras, right? So, so that is the third quality that Kautilya understands that a king should have, right? Fourth thing, that king has to be very courageous and he should be well versed in the art of war. So then that's the fourth quality that a king should have, right? So needless to say that why that is required, because protection of the territory is what is important, right? And I will come to the specific definition of Arthashastra that Kautilya gives, and that's where we will understand that why this aspect becomes important in Kautilya's attribution of qualities of art of war to the king, right? So that's something which is important. But as I told you that I will come to the definition of Arthashastra and why the work is known as Arthashastra, but the understanding of politics and the understanding of a statecraft is predominant throughout the literature. That this is what we'll come to, towards the later part of our discussions, because I thought that once we have some clarity on the state, the role and functions that the state may have, and other policy related issues that Kautilya enumerates and discusses with respect to a state, then I think it would be easier for us to understand the definition of Arthashastra. Okay, so I would come to that, right? So that's why the fourth quality, king should have the knowledge of art of war. He should be courageous. He should have the valor to fight or wage successful war against the enemies, right? So that would be the fourth quality that a king should have. Then, apart from that, king should be well knowledgeable about the prevailing values of the society, meaning that as far as the ethical norms and moral values which are considered to be important by the people in the society or by the society at large, the king should be well aware about that. That's what would be important. Now, there is a relationship between politics and larger ethical considerations, which we would look at in Kautilya's thought. But and I may add here that as far as Kautilya is concerned, considerations of politics would be significant and possibly more important when there would be a kind of conflict or clash between ethical standards and the objectives which are to be achieved through the means of politics, right? But this does not mean that the king should not know the larger ethical or moral values that the society has at a given point of time, right? So that is something which we can keep in mind as far as uh, as far as Kautilya's as far as Kautilya's understanding of the qualities that a king should have, that is concerned, right? Now, in addition to the all these five factors, there are other things which is related to the management of affairs of the state, right? And that is where Kautilya would assign a lot of responsibilities to the king, wherein he is expected to manage the affairs of the state with the help of his ministers. So that is again would be linked to the ability or skill that a particular king would have, right, in terms of managing the affairs of the state. And that is where Kautilya assigns a lot of importance to the king's ability to consult his ministers or to consult his amatyas, right? So in Kautilya's understanding, as far as the king is concerned, on every issue which would have importance in terms of governance or in terms of managing the affairs of the state, the king would consult or the king would take advice from his ministers, either jointly or individually, right? But eventual decision should be that of the kings, right? Eventual decision eventual decision would be taken by the king, right? Meaning that as far as the king is concerned, king has been given advice on the existing situation pertaining to a particular political issue or particular issue related to governance or particular issue related to the state's relationship with other state, right? But it is the king's decision which would matter, and the decision should be taken by the king alone, meaning that as advisors, ministers have an important role, but as a king, the ruler has to take a decision in terms of the course of action which is to become the policy of the state, right? So that's something one can understand in terms of looking at the looking at the qualities that Kautilya attributes to or ascribes to the king, right? To the king, there is a whole lot of qualities and a whole lot of values that Kautilya understands that a king should have. But these are some of the significant elements or qualities that, according to Kautilya, are important, right? Important when one is trying to look at the king. Meaning that yeah, a king should be a well-versed ruler who not only has a noble